Hello, I'm Uslusoy. Welcome to the lower part of the studio. Since we're all a bit fed up with online classes now, I thought we should start having some face-to-face lessons. Today I will try to briefly show you the instruments of Ableton Live. If you're ready, let's get started. We click on the instrument section from the screen on the left. Instruments 2. They are located like this. To open a G20 MIDI channel, you can do it by pressing Command-Shift-T or Control-Shift-T. Analog is an exceptional plugin by Ableton. It's a synthesizer that features more of the analog sounds. It's a plugin from Ableton. It's a synthesizer that has more analog sounds. Here we can see that we double-clicked right away. For itself. Is this nice? We gathered this a bit. Each of them has a folder underneath like this, meaning they've categorized them. You can find the bass here. It's ready to use. Bas, alok. Bass head. This analog is more like the old ones, like the Prophet. It's a plugin that helps to produce sounds based on the synthesizers of the 70s and 80s, like Jupiter and so on. Another one. We can constantly drop it on the wire. You can press S or double click. As you can see here, there are a lot of parameters. Today I will briefly touch on all of them. If you wish, I can examine each one of them in detail from now on. For you. As you can see here, brass, effects, pads, piano, strings, keys, lead sounds, synths. As I mentioned, more like the 80s. If you're planning to make things like synths and metro style stuff, or if you're looking for those hours and you're thinking of using it, this is perfect for that. This is a content provider. Like a subscription for a content provider. A working plugin. What they call ambient involving can also be used to create ambient sounds. They were getting a few planets here. I'm looking for that A1. In its bag, it's more about what's called soundscape. So here is a very powerful plugin that you can use for drone style, or for pad or ambient sounds like this. Especially if you're making cinematic style sounds or sound designs or music. It's really good for College and Moon. Look, we're moving on to the drum rack. The drum rack is already one of the first lessons we had. It's something we use. When you double click here, it will place this drum rack here empty for you. You will assign your own personal clip or instrument to each note, so that there will be a title for each one. Then, you can write this in the clip and play the program. Then do it again. You can write it in the clip and then play the program. There's nothing at this time. We are meat. This glass is under you. It opens up just like a full milk as a living thing. You can definitely subscribe to this service, which we know as Colby. They've made them separately with different sounds here. There's also a section here related to drums, like a drum section. We can access the kits under the main drum rack here. They changed this to 11. Normally, this is already at 10 when you click under drum racking. You will be able to access these presets, so I'm saying there might be some confusion. This is already what we know. We are in part information. RT. You might encounter something like this. Just like you see in the clip yield. You need to place sounds in the spots that correspond to these notes. And you can hear those arts. Right now, for example, it's a mess. I can't find them all at the same time. It's already being used. Let's continue. Again first. The story in electricity is this. Again, the Fender Rhodes keyboard, which was very popular in the 70s and is still frequently used today. After that, things like this mellotron style are again close to that sound, which is intended to produce a sound. To be heard, it's something that is intended to be heard. We can immediately hear the sound of Evlat like this. We're going to showcase piano and keyboard heavy sounds. These are MK1, MK2. These are the sounds referred to as lush by E.J. DeBelly. Especially right now, L5VS is very popular. It gives a sound that you will often hear, or rather always hear, with styles of music. What I have is a sound that I really love. We recognized it as adding an extra external instrument. We don't have any famous work. An impulse. Impulse works like the original, like Glass Ret. There's a much simpler version of it, like the famous Roland TR-909. I mean, we hear the 998, 808 clearly, especially if we're making things like hip-hop and so on. This impulse is just like the 909, meaning it has 8 patterns. From left to right, here you can easily place the kick, snare, clap, hi-hat, and so on, allowing you to play them comfortably and then manipulate them within themselves. It's a very simple sequencer. In the instrument track, it's a bit like a combo. We will find sounds. You can create a group within it like this. This allows you to play these two sounds on top of each other and manipulate them here again. They have also divided these into prelits within themselves. Here are ambient evolving, bass effects, guitar. Delicious. If you see something like this at 8, it was on the A button. These are called macros. So, when we click here, it opens interface. Actually, that's what's inside. Synthesizers. So again, the wavetable synthesizer that we will see shortly. Here, they have added a bunch of things from its own effects behind the A button. And we can already see the shortcuts for each of these with the green things here. These are the things that will allow us to create the automations we will see later. They have assigned the shortcut for them here. With these, this is the first box, and this is the second box. It will really turn down the sound. Without getting lost here. It's something you'll be using frequently. In the future within the synths or operators. It's an extremely practical situation. You can completely assign these yourself. And then, if you have something like that in your MIDI controller, it's in there. It's a situation that allows you to manipulate and easily access. Let's move on. My favorite instrument is Operator. The Operator is really a great plugin. Personally, my favorite plugin in Ableton is Lion LTZ, which I use frequently. So especially, there is a very nice plugin like this. It's a much more useful and effective plugin than many plugins that look very vibrant for the money you spend. And really, because of the almost limitless possibilities in terms of content, sounds, and the manipulations you can do, It's an amazing plugin, and I know many successful producers who also use it. Limitless, 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 limitless. Buy! Instead of messing with other plugins, they work directly from Ableton and get their sounds out. Especially coming at you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I already use it frequently. Thank you for watching the operator in our next video. Nice. What I'm planning is more detailed because then 11, it seems. We are in the envelope, which is electronic. 12. What it is, and the purpose of its presence here. The capacity and what you can do with it. Yes, I will show you a lot of things. For example, I really love the quality of the bass. Like, I've used bass the most. Of course, we need to change this. Şöyle aşağıya alalım. Daha da peki. This is something that will work more like a 909 again. There are a bunch of categories like that. You'll see we've come to Sinclair and Sampler, one of Ableton's very powerful instruments. As the name suggests, the sampler is used for making samples. To be extremely practical and offer a lot of possibilities. Especially if you're planning to make sample-based music. Here again, you can find very interesting things that we can almost touch on the cinema. I will collect where to play by going left and right here. How long you will use the kick. Let me put it this way. We will see the envelope issue, that is, this tick, is called the basis. I am introducing the release event into our lives, so that it will not come out as of the next lesson. I really need to sit down and explain each one of them separately, especially the sample and simpler, in detail. I'm moving on for now to avoid making the video too long. Sinclair works the same way. It's working like a sampler. It's a somewhat exceptional practical version related to its name. This is in a much shorter way. There's a story called Vocal Chop, especially Skrillex uses it a lot. You'll hear a lot of it in the sounds of Diplomy. The vocals go like this with a pitch shape. There are clearly defined sentences. Most producers do this using a sampler or Sinclair. This can also be something you can research if you want when it comes to restoration. As I said, if you want to examine it in detail, I would gladly do it for you. We move to tension. The expression in tension is more anchored. An instrument that produces musical sounds we call plugs. For example, let's take a look at the plugs from here. So it's actually an instrument designed like string instruments, a thoughtful instrument is banjo, movie basic guitar. If we do something simple like this, we can create an arpeggio. We can create an arpeggio like this. Clear, great. If you noticed, it's quite bold. Especially when you think about doing this within an electronic infrastructure or a system. That's how it is. Intention. Waitable is one of the newly added instruments. I haven't had much time to examine it, but it's definitely something I need to sit down and really focus on, because it's quite out there. In synthesizers, sound wave based. There are things they usually always work with oscillators. For example, in operator there are 4 different oscillators that allow you to combine and process sound signals. On the other hand, wavetable synthesizers, like the recently popular Serum plugin, are is being used. It's a wavetable-based synthesizer. It's somewhat indebted to its popularity. It offers an approach where you can use audio waves by taking certain audio frequencies, not just directly through oscillators and signals, but by combining and manipulating the audio within itself. And it's quite powerful, and it will really be good and healthy again. Of course, it's still an instrument like in Telson, meaning a string instrument, but not in an acoustic sense. It's something that restricts more subtly. Nice. Okay. Thank you for watching the video where I tried to briefly introduce Ableton instruments. In our next video, as I mentioned today, we will start exploring the concept of M-Vlog. A core idea links electronic music and phones. Afterwards, we will be moving on to the dark side of Ableton. So, we will be starting with audios. See you, goodbye.